What is going on, everyone? It's Rylan with Rylan's Amazing Photography, and I'm feeling festive today, as you can see, but I'm not here because I feel festive. I'm here to give you all my 2022 camera predictions. So I've got a lot of predictions for 2022. That's not true. I've honestly just kind of came up with some off the top of my head before I started filming this video, but I do think they're all pretty likely, if I'm being honest. For this video, I'm only going to be talking about the three main camera manufacturers. If you don't know who those are, first off, God bless your soul. Second off, they are Nikon, Sony, and Canon, and not in that order. The order is typically Sony, Canon, Nikon. However, after some recent announcements, recent releases, it's honestly pretty equal. I will say that Sony has more cameras that perform better with autofocus and consumer grade, you know, price points and such, as well as Canon. But with the Z9, all three of the flagship cameras, the R3, the A1, and the Z9, they're all pretty equal. There's no huge differences. Of course, I've not had the opportunity to test all of them side by side. However, in early 2022, in the first quarter of 2022, I do plan to have my hands on a Nikon Z9, and I will be doing reviews and videos with it to give you all my honest opinion on the Z9, not sponsored or anything. It will be purchased with my own money, but right now, like I said, I'm going to be talking about some camera predictions for 2022, and what I mean by this is cameras that I think could be released in 2022 by Nikon, Sony, and Canon. So to start off, I'm going to start off with the Nikon Z8. And it's been a year or two ago I actually predicted the Nikon Z8, and we still haven't got it yet. But at the time, I was predicting the Nikon Z8 to be like the flagship camera of Nikon, and now we all know that that's the Z9. So I'm saying that the Nikon Z8 is going to be a step up from the Nikon Z7 II, but kind of a step down from the Nikon Z9. I think it's going to include a lot of the things that the Nikon Z9 has, but I feel like they're just going to kind of make it not as good. They're going to kind of put some limitations on the camera and hold it back. Like, you might be able to do 30 frames per second, or I'm sorry, you might be able to do 20 frames per second like the Z9. But they might like kind of cut out the option you're not able to do 120 frames per second even at a lower megapixel count. I feel like that would be something that would be smart of Nikon to do, just to kind of like say you're still going to get 20 frames per second with this top of the line camera, but you're not going to be able to do 120 frames per second. It would make sense. Maybe give it a recording limit or something. Just kind of put some features in it that makes it still a good camera, but it doesn't make it better than the Z9 and doesn't make it compete with the Z9 directly. I think that they should make it cheaper than the Z9 as well. I think around $4,500 would be a fair price for this, because that's more than the Z7 II, which is what I think it will be an upgrade from, but it's less than the Z9, which is what it would be not as good as. So yeah, I'm predicting that Nikon's going to put something out there, because for Sony, there's the A1, which is their flagship camera, but they also have the A7 III, the A7C, the A7R III. No, I actually think they have an A7R IV now. They have a lot of good cameras that are not just their flagship camera, whereas Nikon just kind of has the Z9, and that's really the best camera they have, because honestly the Z6 II and the Z7 II are not great, and their autofocus just is not as good and is not up to par like the Nikon Z9, whereas other Sony cameras do have really great autofocus that performs nearly as good as the Sony A1. So that's my prediction for Nikon. I think we're going to be seeing a Nikon Z8. So now I want to kind of move over to Canon. And this is probably wrong. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Honestly, I don't know Canon's next move. I can't really predict them, and I don't know why. I guess it's just because I feel like, in a way, they have one up on Sony somehow. That's just the way I look at it in my mind. Canon has the R6, the R5, and currently the R3. The R3 is currently their flagship camera. There are rumors of an R1, and I think that's going to replace the R3. That's my understanding. I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't did my full research on Canon. I'm not crazy about Canon and Sony like I am Nikon. but my understanding is that the R1 is going to be better than the R3, and perhaps it's just a rumor they're working on it. I honestly don't know. But I'm predicting the Canon R7, and that's going to kind of go with the R5 and the R6 lineup. And as you know, the R6 is the more affordable version of the R5. It's a great camera for video, for photos. It's got good autofocus, much like the R5, only the R5 has more features than the R6. So I'm predicting the same thing for the R6 and the R7. I think the R6 is going to have better features than the R7, and the R7 is going to be kind of taking the place of the EOS R. I don't think it will take the place of it, because I'm not predicting it to be necessarily a 100% beginner camera like the EOS R and the RP. I think the R7 is going to be better than those two cameras, but I also think that it's not going to be as good as the R6. It's going to be like in that range. It's going to be somewhere between the R and the R6 is my personal opinion. I don't know Canon well enough to give like what I think a price point will be, and I'm not sure that that camera will ever exist. Just looking at it, I feel like there's kind of a gap there, because the R6 is really high price and the R5 is really high price, and I feel like this is going to be more like between an enthusiast and a professional photographer. It's going to be somewhere between those boundaries. So yeah, I think the R7 is going to be somewhere between the R and the R6, and it's going to be between the professional and enthusiast realm of cameras. And I look at the R6 as being more of a professional camera, and I think the R7 is going to be aimed more at enthusiasts who are really serious enthusiasts. That's just my personal opinion, and that's what I feel like we're probably going to see in 2022. Before I get to Sony, I want to remind you all who is sponsoring today's video. Myself, of course. Today's video is sponsored by me. I have top of the line products that I know that you will look at and you'll be like, oh my god, I gotta have that. The first thing on the list is obviously my 2022 calendars. I have a wildlife version as well as a landscape version, and they're both fantastic. So many of you all have loved them so far, and I just know that anyone who sees them is going to want one. They start as low as $20, and even the large versions, which are 11x14, are only $25. So don't waste time. Go to www.rollandsamazingphotography.com/calendars to get your copy now. I also have prints as well as a book that I think you would enjoy, and you can find all of the information to purchase those down below in the description. So right now, I'm going to be discussing Sony, and I want to start with something that I think would be smart of Sony to do, because the last version of this camera hasn't came out since 2018, and it was a pretty good camera at the time. I want to see an A7 IV, and I'm not talking about an A7R IV, because there is an A7R IV. I just want a regular A7 IV. I don't know, I feel like that's just a smart move in terms of kind of promotions and marketing. It's not going to be like a top-of-the-line mirrorless camera. It is what it is. I just feel like Sony should put out an A7 IV. I can't give a proper reason as to why, but I feel like there's still quite a few people that use the A7 III, because for the longest time there were a lot of people that still use the A7R III, and they were really excited when the A7R IV came out. And I feel like that would just kind of be the same reaction from the people that have been using the A7 systems. Maybe someone even still using an A7 II, I don't really know. I'm sure someone uses it, but regardless, I think an A7 IV would be a really exciting upgrade for them. So I think it would be smart, I'm going to say, for Sony to release an A7 IV. Sony is typically the top of the line camera manufacturer. They're typically in the lead. There's always a race between Nikon, Canon, and Sony Has held its ground for quite a while. But as I said earlier in the video, all three flagship cameras, the Z9, the A1, and the R3, as of right now, are pretty evenly matched. And Sony always likes to be in the lead. And the Z9 is, like I said, pretty evenly matched with the A1, if not even better. I honestly think that the Z9 is possibly the best flagship camera on the market, and it's cheaper than the R3 and the A1. With that being said, Sony is not going to stand for that very long. I think we're going to see the A2, the Sony A2, in 2022. And now this is going to be late in 2022, like possibly the last quarter in 2022, but I do think we're going to see a Sony A2 in 2022. And that's a lot to say. That's a lot to come out of my mouth. But like I said, Nikon and Canon are pretty much stride in stride with Sony, and they're all on level playing field right now, and Sony always likes to be ahead. What are we looking for in a new flagship camera? I feel like as photographers we should ask ourselves that, because I don't know what I would want Sony to add that they don't already have in a camera, because I mean, it's just something to think about. Do we need more megapixels? I mean, 50 megapixels is plenty. I mean, I guess more frames per second would be nice, but when you're already getting 30 frames per second with the A1, I mean, what more can you really want? I don't know, maybe it'll be higher video standards, but they're going to do something to really kind of jump their lead of Canon and Nikon, in my opinion. They're going to be doing some crazy thing that we would have never thought ever that we would see in a camera, and they're going to blow everyone's minds, because that's just what Sony does. And so that's my prediction. We are going to see a Sony A2 at some point in 2022. So that pretty much wraps up my camera predictions for 2022. I want to remind you all to go down below and subscribe to my channel, because if you've made it this far through the video, like, it's almost been 10 minutes. It might have been 10 minutes. Who knows at this point. But if it has, and you're still here, why have you not subscribed? Like, go subscribe. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, you know. And when you hit the red subscribe button, it's going to be like, do you want to be notified for future videos from this channel? You can press the notification bell. And then you're going to press yes, and you're going to hit the notification bell, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And then when you're done with all that, you're going to be like, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. Why don't I buy his calendar? Why don't I buy a print to hang on my wall? That's how it's going to go. It's going to happen just like that. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Are the predictions going to happen just like that? Probably not. I think the best prediction I have on there is the Nikon Z8. I think that's pretty plausible. The rest, honestly, not sure. It's just my predictions. They're going to be wrong. People are going to come at me in the comments like they come at Tony Northrup, but that's okay. Anyways, like I said, that's all I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. This is probably going to be my last video before Christmas, because I'm going to be taking off Christmas Eve, obviously, because it's Christmas Eve. So I hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas. I will have another video out before New Year's, most likely. I'm going to have a 2021 bloopers video like I do at the end of every year. So be on the lookout for that. Of course, you can always keep up with me on Instagram as well. So yeah, thanks for watching for like the third time, and I hope you all have an amazing day and Christmas. I'm feeling festive.